Okay, welcome back to Sacred Cow Barbecue, everyone. I'm Patricia Aiken. It's my pleasure to be here with Frederick C. Blackburn, otherwise known as Blackbird 9 to a lot of people. And it's my pleasure to welcome for the first time to Sacred Cow Barbecue the proud daughter of Helena and William Huggett, staunch nationalist, God-fearing Boers, and taught her about politics and never trusted Jew. I mean, that's really amazing. She had other mentors in Dr. William Finley of the Federation of the Covenant People. She's also worked for David Duke, and she's met Edgar Steele, Willis Carto. She's known Dr. William Pierce. She knows lots and lots of people in the nationalist movement. Monica Huggett's all the way from South Africa. Welcome to Sacred Cow Barbecue.
Thank you, Patricia. Good morning. And, well, you're going to bed soon, and I am going to start working and sweating out here down south.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's summer in South Africa, and you've had a pretty hot one. What's the temperature?
Well, it was yesterday 44 degrees Celsius. Today, we hope it's not going to be like that, but we have a terrible drought here. It's unbelievable. Cattle dying, farmers committing suicide. This is really bad. You know, it's not only...
Wait a minute. You're killing farmers off left, right, and center. They don't need to be committing suicide, too.
Exactly. But it's, I suppose, well... It must be horrible to watch your cattle just die of starvation or thirst. It is unbelievable. It's I don't know. This summer is just brutal. I never knew it like this, and everybody is talking about the same thing. It's just zapping everything out of you. You know, when I was in New Orleans, it wasn't even as bad as what I'm going through now.
Well, Texas had the same kind of drought with cattle dying from starvation and lack of water and things like that. And I'm sure Frederick will agree with me that geoengineering is going on. And so they're playing with this big toy that they don't even know how it works. And obviously the attack is against South Africa. Would you agree, Frederick?
You have to, the patterns are there. People, that drought is so out of skelter. You have to say, is there something else acting here? And weather modification has been a reality since the 1950s. I mean, I remember the days of Dr. Wilhelm Reich. He had his cloud busting machine that he was trying to do weather modification, and the Air Force was doing weather modification. So it's a reality that those programs exist. And when you see something like South Africa, and knowing that South Africa is the template, the sandbox of how they're going to destroy our culture, you have to kind of just connect the dots.
Monica, I always ask people, how'd you wake up? But you were raised awake.
Oh, yes, very much so. Very much so. My father was very, very, very involved in politics. I grew up in a house with nationalist leanings. I mean, he worked for Anglo-American, and they wanted to enlist him to go to the north to fight the Germans. And my dad said, no, I'm not fighting the Germans. So he lost his job, and he started his own business. He had the first gas station in Kempton Park. And so we built him up, and he was involved in everything. I remember going to rallies for the Nationalist Party, and he was also a member of the Broederbond. And then he stopped going to the meetings. I remember in the 60s already, when I asked him, well, you're not going to the meetings anymore. He said, no, the Broederbond is heavily, heavily involved with the enemy of the Boer nation. So he lost interest in that, and that was very sad. I miss my dad terribly, but I'm glad he's not seeing what's happening now.
Well, he's aware of it. I'm sure where he is, he knows what's going on, Monica. And
yes, he does. He does, and we need also the soldiers from the other side.
Absolutely. Karen Smith and I we said, well, we need to pray to the God of Blood River.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. That was such a miracle and so tangible, isn't it? that not even one of them died. And the Zulus are still talking about it. I remember we went to Dingaan Stad. That's where the kraal was of Dingaan. And I met a very old Zulu. He was very gray already. He could hardly walk. And he looked at me and he said to me, "We fought the people with the white clothes coming out of the sky."
We just broke up for a little bit. We fought the people with white clothes coming out
Of the sky, he said.
of the sky.
Yes,
That's
he said,
right.
yes, yeah. So, well, of course, Zuma said that Blood River has not been revenged yet. So maybe this is one of the reasons they going out like this in killing the Boers. I put this. I don't want to go off subject, but I put this question to somebody else the other day. We have all these squatter camps with
Yes.
the white, and they're really unprotected. I've got one about 1.5 kilometers from me. I mean, the houses are falling apart. It's really, really bad. And I asked someone in the army, and I said, well, if they hate the white people so badly, they can kill those 150 people in one night. Why don't they do it? But the answer was they're not important, but the farmers are important because they're independent, free-thinking people.
Well, I think communists, Stalinists, Marxists, whatever you want to call them, always love starving people to death. That's their favorite form of mass murder because it's so humiliating.
Yes, and it's so terrible.
Yes. Monica, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Why the Boers? Why have a good, hardworking, honest group of people? And I know there's scandals, amongst Boers. There's got to be disagreeable people there. But as a whole, we judge a culture by the whole. They're hardworking, good people. I very seldom meet Afrikaners that I don't like. So why have the British fought them so heavily and tried to destroy them? Why are they now being, attacked by the blacks in South Africa? To explain this to me. What do you think the root of this is?
Well, it's a hatred for the Germanic people. You must understand, Patricia, and I can't get it into my people's heads also. More Germans came to South Africa than Dutch. And this is yes, that they will ask you your port of embarkation. Okay, Rotterdam. Okay, then you must be Dutch. And that's not true. You're German. So it's the hatred of the British towards the Germans. It was always like that. And it's interesting in the book, The Secret History of the Old South African Republic, the ZAR. Abercrombie said in 1894, we have to destroy the Boers before we attack the Germans. And I mean, that was 20 years before Germany was attacked in 1914. So this is, and I mean, now they're doing this with the immigration, the refugees, so-called refugees going into Germany. Right. It's this terrible hatred against the Germanic people.
Okay, so you and I come from a Christian identity background where we know that the Anglo-Saxon, Scandinavian, Germanic people are descendants of the lost tribes, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we are the real descendants, not the imposter Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who do you feel the Germanic people are? What tribe are they in your estimation?
The tribe of Judah.
That's what I think. And Judah was supposed to have the scepter, right?
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. This is why they go full out to destroy Germany. It's a thorn in the flesh, and I think you do also understand being an identity. This is a big war. This is not something small. It is the absolute darkness against the people who carry the light. This is what it's all about. They have to destroy the light. I can tell you, this is what Joshua Nkomo said. He was one of the terrorists, communist terrorists or Marxists in Rhodesia. He said, we have to destroy the white race. That's the only way to destroy and kill their God.
Wow.
So this is,
I bet
yeah.
I bet Frederick has something to say about this. Frederick, you have a comment you want to make here?
Just that I totally agree with everything she's saying. As,
Thank you.
very good morning to you. My name is Frederick. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you, Frederick.
And,
It's refreshing. Somebody agreeing.
Yeah.
just that you are in my thoughts and prayers all the time. What is going on there is just so sad to me and so infuriating. But yet I see it rolling out to the rest of the world right now. I see, like you were saying, what's happening in Germany now, what's happening in Sweden now. It's okay. That was South Africa in the 1990s. That was the test bed. And it, like you said, it's all about the darkness and the light. Those are the two. In my show, I talk about game theory models, and we're these two systems. But it's such a easy analogy to say darkness versus light because that sums it up so well.
Right. Well, you know what, everyone? I've been a negligent host, and I'm going to get called on the carpet here if I don't identify and say, you're listening to Sacred Cow Barbecue on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And I want to urge everyone, if you've enjoyed the show tonight, to please go over and make a donation of any amount to freedomslips.com. Every little bit helps, and you'll see how much of a budget we have every month and how much we need to raise, and any amount that you can put in. Man, if everybody just threw in $2 a month, we wouldn't have to make these silly appeals. I mean, it would take care of itself. We have enough listeners that we would never have to ask for money if just everyone that listened would just give $2 a month. So go over there and do $12. Pay up for the next 6 months. We know we're going to have great shows on. So so thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And Monica, back to you. So you saw this coming. This must have been discouraging because explain to people, because all people asked me, how did this happen? How did the whites turn over, control to the blacks? And my understanding is they didn't. They were expecting a tripartite, three-party rule, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And, I'm not going to say something, and I'm going to be very unpopular. But being white, we are very unpopular.
Hey, this is Sacred Cow Barbecue, man. If you can't say it here, you can't say it. Go for it.
Oh, well, I always say it. We have a white problem, Patricia.
Yes.
We do not have a black problem. We have a white problem. We are the most gullible race on this planet. And, the pattern is there, right through Africa. From Ghana, the first country or colony that fell to black rule in the 50s already. One by one, like a domino effect, they fell because the whites really believed their rulers. They believed their government. They believed the British when they said, it's going to be okay, we're going to share power. But you cannot share power. You cannot sit around the table and talk to somebody who doesn't believe like you do, who's not of your thinking, of your race, of your spiritual makeup. It is impossible. So what do? They calm the people in thinking it's going to be okay. But how many examples do we need? South Africa being lost.
And because you've had all these white privileges, and you've oppressed these poor black people. Yeah, you've oppressed them with the taxation, unbelievably heavy taxation that you pay. I see the end of every white culture according to the Communist Manifesto. And this, I believe it's the second plank that says a heavy and progressive income tax. And that's what every white nation has succumbed to because they start siphoning off money from the whites to buy votes from the blacks, and that's how this thing always happens. And so your father saw that and I'm not going to say it right, the Broderborg,
the Broederbond, yes. You can say it in English, the Brotherhood.
Yes, the Brotherhood had become infiltrated. Now I know that's what the Boers used that to come back into power, correct?
They did, and it was the whole. Plan was in opposition to Freemasonry and the Illuminati. So it was very pure in the beginning. But, in my political career, if there are two people involved in something, one of them is a traitor. You either for a future into nothing, or a $5 bill you will turn against your own people. And this is what happened. They slowly infiltrated, and this is what happened and destroyed from the inside.
Exactly. And so when you have de Klerk selling out for 45 million,
Yes.
and people, and I believe it's our friend, History Review channel, who has said that even I don't want to say this, he said this, but Borta actually, they're all say they're conservatives, they all say the right things in public, but they go in the back room and make a deal against the people.
Of course. And, this is not a yesterday treason. This is a treason from the beginning of time. Concerning the white race all over the world, but in South Africa was in 1652. You remember, they started they didn't plan a settlement. That was not the idea. It was just a halfway station to get fresh fruit and meat and blah 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 to go from Europe to the East Indies.
Right, in repair the ships from the the sea of the graveyard of ships.
Exactly. So it was a company from the beginning of time. We were not ruled by the Dutch or the British. It was a company from 1652. And we became a republic in 1961. And as you know, no country is independent. We were ruled by Britain or the British East India Company or the Dutch East India Company, whatever you want to call it, but by corporations all the time. So we didn't have freedom, ever. We moved to the north, and then the infiltrators moved with us. The Jew came with nice talks, and the Boers were so gullible. They called them the people of the book, the Bible. And this is where the problem starts. And two things drive people: desperation and greed.
And so, I'm losing you here a little bit, Monica. You said, who did they think were the people of the book?
Oh, the Boers really thought the Jews were the people of the book.
Oh my, yeah, that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And that's Christianity in the U.S., churchianity, I call it. They all think they're God's chosen people. And I say, yes, chosen for destruction, I hope.
Yes, absolutely. And this is where our problem is. The foundation of this whole charade of whatever, and we allow these people to destroy us because you can't go against them. God is going to punish you. But don't they think maybe we are being punished because we make them the chosen people of God? Which God are they talking about?
Well, I have a friend who believes in messianic Judaism and the Hebraic, she's in for a penny, she's in for a pound. And so I said, well, doesn't the Bible say those that bless Israel will be blessed? Is our country blessed right now? Was South Africa blessed? No, we've been blessing the Jews to Israel. Okay, not really Israel. The sandbox in Palestine to the tune of $10 million a day for a long time. We should be the most blessed nation on the earth, and yet we've got unemployment. Look at our country. It's falling apart. Not quite where South Africa is right now, but we're getting there.
Yes, and faster than you think, because if you get to a certain point, like an avalanche, it's going to go faster.
Absolutely. It's picked up speed. I agree with you 1,000%, Monica. It's picked up speed since the first Obama election. Even before he took office, it's been like a freight train. And I say, am I being paranoid about this? But it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, it is. And, it's interesting, the election of 2008, when they introduced all the candidates, I said to my husband, Obama is going to make it. They're going to put him in there because he's the next Mandela, and his wife is the next Winnie Mandela. Yeah. I said, yeah. He said, oh, no, it'll never happen. I said, you know what? The Rhodesians said that. The Portuguese in Angola said that. The South Africans said that. And what happened? It happened.
Yes.
Don't ever say it's not going to happen. It's planned that way. This is why I'm saying we have a white problem, because whites are the most the liberals. Well, and liberal is also not the correct word for it. I think they're a soulless people. We are being ruled by people without the soul. They've got no conscience. They can sit around a table and they talk about killing people without being, feel bad about it.
Actually, they're conscienceless. They're sociopaths. We're ruled by sociopaths. And
yes.
I've always said, Monica, or at least for the last 15 years, I don't know why the Bible calls us, with the sheep of his pasture. I think we should be called the jackasses of his pasture. We're stubborn and we're stupid.
Very stupid. Idiots. Absolutely idiots. I see it. I mean, the remarks people make. Yeah, well, we must get rid of this one and then we'll put that one into power and it's going to be better. It's not going to be better. The same people manipulating candidate A is manipulating candidate B. So what's going to be the difference? Slowly, they're cooking us to a stew, and they're going to spit us all out if we don't put a stop to all this now.
In keeping us in, I say this to everyone, oh, who are you voting for? What candidate do you want? I say, it's like having a race car. And you're saying, oh, Jeff Gordon, a very famous race driver. Oh, we've got Jeff Gordon to drive for us. We've got Kyle Busch to drive for us. It doesn't matter. Did you look under the hood? There's no engine. There's no transmission. There's no radiator. There's no battery. There's nothing. It's just a shell. I don't care who you get to drive. It is broken.
Exactly. And I mean, the promises, it's unbelievable. I'm doing now all these. I think you've seen on our website the old articles I'm trying to put on there so people can see the silver thread of treason from beginning.
Yeah.
How they
tell people your website, please.
My website is southafricaproject.info. Please go on there and go and read about history, because it's not something of the past. It's still alive, because the same people are still ruling. The same people are planning our demise, and see how they manipulate putting. I mean, let's go back to what's happening in your country now with all those candidates. Trump is saying everything the people want to hear. They create opposition about this. In the meantime, they're all in the same pot, and they all just for their own pockets and their own power. They don't care about the people.
No.
No, not at all. I mean, it's like the treason in my country from the beginning of 1652. Just an interesting story. In 1654, Hottentot stole a cow from one of the settlers. And Jan van Riebeeck wrote to the Lord 17, the Dutch India Company, and he said, what do I do now? He had to have permission to do whatever. Guess what? The letter came back and said, let him go. Well, he murdered the farmer. Sorry, in brackets. He murdered the farmer. So they said, let this Hottentot go, because you don't ever know. Maybe he's innocent. So, you see what I'm saying?
So sold out from the beginning. Well, I see that here. I see that here with our history as well.
Yes, exactly. The pattern is the same.
The fascinating thing about South Africa and America is how similar our destinies have been. I mean,
yes.
from covered wagons, going out in settlers, to what we're experiencing now. We have such a parallel destiny that it's amazing, but it's also very sobering.
Yes, and it is scary because I don't want to see you people going to the same pattern we are going, but you are already there. The country is so big, you don't know what's happening in your little town. It's not being blasted into the papers in New York. People don't care. We have a saying in this country, while the crocodile is eating you, he's not going to eat me.
Right. Exactly. And why people think that's going to happen. That's why we're working so hard to raise awareness for South Africa, for the whites in the squatter camps, the support that they need, and to wake people up. If they knew what was going on, I know more support would come. But the way they've got it set up with these BBBEEE regulations is so ludicrous. And
Yeah.
if people could see it, really see it, I think more people would come to South Africans, aid. I really do. But Monica, I have to take this from a spiritual view. I've had kind of an intersection in my life where my, truth seeking, Christianity or identity beliefs and science and my activism has all come together at one place. And I don't know what your Bible says, but mine says when we pray and ask that we should believe that we've received. And so I think it's tell me if you think we need to concentrate on the outcome that we want and trusting the Almighty the way they did at Blood River to accomplish it for us. I think we're outnumbered. I think the day is very late. If this is going to be turned around, we're not going to do it in our own strength.
Oh, absolutely. I'm there with you 1,000%. We cannot change this. It's by divine intervention, and it is coming. It will happen. Maybe as what the seer said, the book I sent you, Words of a Prophet, he said
Yes.
the earth will shake. And it's going to happen. It can't. God will not. Our Father will not let down his children because he can't let the darkness take over. We go back into chaos then, and he won't allow that. But we have to believe, and prayer is so powerful.
Yes, there was a group that came to Washington, D.C. 400 people came to meditate in Washington, D.C. to drop the crime rate. And the chief of police said it would have to snow 2 feet in July to slow down the crime rate in Washington, D.C. Well, a month later, he wasn't saying that because the crime rate had dropped by 25%.
That's it. But you know what? We must be so careful what we ask for.
In what way?
Well, example is I knew the leader of the Rhodesian White People's Party, and he made the remark. He said, all these little old ladies in tennis shoes praying for peace in Rhodesia. He said, we're going to get peace, but what price?
Good point.
So this is why I'm saying we have to be very careful. It's like in your personal life, you sit down there, you write a little note, and you ask God and the angels, this is what I want in my life. But you've got to be very careful what you write down there, because you're going to get it. And it's maybe not what you really wanted.
So how do you recommend that you state your intention or state your prayer?
Well, it is just a little tip, but I was asked to open a meeting with prayer, and I asked God, I said, please, my Father, destroy your enemy. Oh my goodness, Patricia. I thought brimstone landing on my head. How dare you do that? I said, but I don't know. Maybe you God's enemy.
Well, I think that's probably great. Me, I've been really focusing on liberty and justice for all, and I think that really sums it up. Justice. There are everybody needs justice. The Bureau of Land Management that we're dealing with here in the West, they need justice.
Yeah. This is also what we lost: is justice. There's no fairness, nothing, because of the greed. They just walk over everything and everybody because this is what we want and this is what we're going to have. I mean, in the 60s already, the Carnegie Plan was on the table. If there is a white uprising in South Africa, how many ships, how many troops, how many planes, etc., will be sent to South Africa to put down the white uprising?
Really?
Even how many Americans are going to die? 19,000. Americans will die. So now out of the horse's mouth, my brother's got a friend who worked at the American Embassy here in Pretoria. And when he retired, they gave him a big party. He's a South African. And his wife is very outspoken. And she said to the ambassador, but, what would you have done if whites fought back? And he said, oh, that was discussed in absolute depth. He said, but I can tell you now, we were not so sure we're going to win this war.
Wow.
Wow. But my people are so, I don't know, punch drunk. They, as if they lost hope.
Yes.
And this is what I'm trying to put back into their inner being, into their souls. We have something to be proud of. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Stop it.
It's never too late to turn it around. And we have to. We're co-creators with the Creator. I fully believe that, and it's by our faith and by receiving and putting ourselves on and having joy. The joy of the Lord is our strength, and that we're going to turn this thing around. So when people are, so beat up, and I understand it, I know why they're depressed, but we have to turn this around. It's the key to victory in this. Yes, and I know Frederick agrees with me on this. He may not agree with that exact scripture, but I know he spent 2 years as being homeless, living out of his car as a whistleblower. And he's one of the happiest people I've ever met. In spite of everything that's going on, as depressing as it could be, he is happy. And Frederick, I appreciate about you so much.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say. And I guess my experience really makes me empathize with what's going on with the people in South Africa, because I was by myself. I didn't have small children. I didn't have elderly to take care of. And that's what I'm seeing in these tent cities in South Africa, and it just breaks my heart. And I just wish we could do more here in the States and in Europe and in Australia to let you know that we see what's going on and we're trying to help. And yes, you have to have the will to survive and the hope to survive. And just, that you can overcome this, and the world is seeing what you're up against, and we're trying to help, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. We appreciate that. In South Africa's case, of course, we've been fighting the world for so many years. Unbelievable. In and out of court about Southwest Africa. In and out of court because of apartheid. Nobody really understands. It's separate development, okay, but it's also to keep the black tribes apart for them not killing each other. Right. It was not only between black and white and Indian and colored. For the survival of everybody in this country, that was the best option.
But blacks suffered under apartheid just like whites did.
Yes.
More so, because then whites didn't have the means to, and taxes, and the blacks weren't taken care of. And they were really taken care of almost like children that they, we had to provide for them. But like Karen Smith says, you build a school, they burn it down, you build it again, they burn it down again, you build it again. I mean, that takes money.
Of course. It's interesting now, and I made the remark the other day, how many Afrikaans movies all of a sudden on the circuit. We could never have that. We had one, maybe a new one every year. Now they're producing them like on assembly line. Where is this money coming from? Yes. All of a sudden.
That's fascinating. Gee, let's see. What tribe do I associate with movies? Who runs Hollywood? I'll get back to you on that, Monica.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Say, listen, I want to ask you about Dr. David Duke. He was recently the talk of the town, or the talk of the internet, because of his debate with Alex Jones.
Yeah, that was great.
It was a great debate, wasn't it? And so tell me more about your personal experience, because you worked for him when he was campaigning for the U.S. Senate in 1994. So you knew when he was much younger.
Yes, he's a bit gray and battered down, but knowing David and knowing him personally, you cannot win an argument with David. You cannot win a debate with David. It's just impossible. He came to South Africa. He met all the right-wing leaders here. I took him to all the right-wing leaders. He was on Radio Pretoria for 2 hours. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. The people just loved him. He was on Radio 702 with a black with the name of John Kwalani. And that, oh my goodness me, when he came out of that studio, he was Huggett because the liberals, whites, of course, attacking him so bad that a liberal white woman called in and she said, "You've got to behave yourself. This man is a visitor to this country."
Wow, they were that ornery. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was that bad. And John Kulani, of course, attacked him being an ex-KKK and being a racist. So David said, the biggest racist you've got in your country is Nelson Mandela.
Yes, that's right.
And so he was a bit taken aback, John Kulani. And then David said to him, if it wasn't for the white man, John, you wouldn't have been driving that German sports car of yours. You wouldn't have had shoes on your feet. So what are you talking about? The whites being racist and not giving you anything. It was.
And how about that watch that Julius Malema wears?
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's my doctor, one of my mentors said to me, they have the same footprint as a white man because they're wearing shoes.
Well said.
And but now they're going to put through Parliament law against racism in South Africa. So with what I said now, I can go to prison if this law is going to go through because of course, only whites can be racist.
Yeah, well, we know that here in the U.S. I mean, if blacks attack whites, well, we don't even hear about it. But if a black gets a hangnail within 10 feet of a white person, then it's the white person's fault and they're evil racists. That's how it works here. Not that I'm not saying there aren't bad people in every race. There are, but this is the entire agenda, and it's been in place by the same race of people that have been attacking us forever. So I'm happy to hear what you had to say about David Duke. And I also want to ask you about another one of my heroes. And this is probably the first time I really started reading about South Africa. The first person I ever met was a South African in Maui, and he has a Boer name, and he's the first one that started very quietly talking about apartheid because it was in the 90s and people were, apartheid, because of the media spin. But he set me straight on it. It was really kind of interesting. But the man I'd like to know more about, and you handled the foreign desk for the Africana resistance movement, so you knew Eugene Terreblanc for many years. Can you tell me more about him?
Well, Patricia, I can tell you, I had an Italian boyfriend in '79, and we'll go to meetings with the AWB. 15 people will attend. And I mean, Max couldn't understand a word of Afrikaans, but he talked him out of his seat. He had that charisma. Absolutely. That charisma to inspire people. But he was no leader. No leader.
What do you mean by that?
That he didn't know the machinations of how to lead a big organization. He wasn't strong enough. He wasn't informed enough. He was really the best speaker I've ever listened to. Very dramatic. He could inspire you to go out and get on your horse and a sword and go and chop off heads. This is what Eugene was. Absolutely, of course. He died the most horrific death that you can ever think about. But yes, he didn't have leadership qualities that we really need. We need a military general who's dedicated to the cause and to white people. You know that I went to a meeting once in Vereniging in 90s, and 7,000 men marched that day. 7,000 men marched in khaki uniforms that day. He's also very stubborn, that you couldn't suggest anything. I mean, I can't tell you what suggestions we made.
Monica, Monica, you don't mean a stubborn Boer? No, you're mistaken.
The Boers are the most stubborn people that you can ever meet. I mean, really, you're talking to one very stubborn because I want to change the world. Never mind only South Africa, but anyway, yeah. He was very stubborn. He wouldn't listen to suggestions of doing this way and that way. I am the leader and so forth, and knowing so many leaders in the right wing, not only in this country but all over, they have the same trait that this is mine and you're not going to tell me what to do. This is the problem. One of the big problems we have. They're not open to discussion of seeing somebody else's point. I don't say that we know everything. It's impossible. We can't know everything. But, the survival of the white race is at stake here, not your organization.
So what's it going to take for white people to lay down their egos and work together?
Patricia, when I find out, you'll be the first one to know.
Okay, excellent. I'll be waiting. I'll wait by the phone.
Okay, it's going to be a long wait. I'm telling you, if I can find out, it's incredible. It's like a friend of mine went to a meeting of David Irving, and they were talking about who's going to sit at the head of the table. And Ted said to Irving, "Yeah, but everybody wants to be the Führer." And he said, "Well, you talk for yourself. They all want to be the Führer, and they can't be all of them the Führer. We have to have leaders and we have to have followers. We can't all be chiefs and no Indians. You know what I'm saying?"
Yes. But it's going to take a humble man with
yes.
humility and confidence.
Yes.
Who's a people person, because I don't know what your Bible says, but my Bible says if you're going to be the head, you've got to serve. You've got to serve.
That's the thing, and they don't want to serve. They want to have the red carpet. When I met John Tunnell, he came over to the States, and we had a long talk, and I said to him, what do you think the problem is with some of these right-wing leaders? He said, even senators in parliament or whatever. He said the problem is the red carpet goes to their heads and they lose their roots.
That's a good way to put it. That is a good way to put it.
Yeah. Then they forget about the people, on the ground level. It's like Hillary said. That's not important. I mean, what happened to Stevens? It's not important. Of course, it's important. It goes into the universe, and it changes things. That they do not understand the bigger picture. Nobody understands the bigger picture. Come on, they've got to. This bloodletting has got to stop. I don't care if it's whatever. It's like a ritual. The bloodletting is making the enemy stronger because they need the blood to live on. They're all vampire.
Exactly, and that's why they love all the brother wars. That's why they've done it, and so they derive power from the shedding of innocent blood. I'm sure of it.
Yes, absolutely. I mentioned that to Dr. Harold Room once. He wrote a lot of books about ritual murder. I'm sure you heard about him, but anyway.
No, I have. Frederick, have you heard about this man?
No, I'm not familiar.
Dr. Harold Room, excellent. Oh my goodness, he was such a darling. He died not so long ago. But I asked him the question. I'm very stupid. I know I want to know everything, and some things bother me. And then I'm asking questions, and I said, "Don't you think it's not only the ritual murder of little babies or people, but this bigger picture of these wars? Isn't that a ritual, a blood ritual?"
Absolutely.
So he just stared at me and he said, "I never thought about it that way, but maybe you've got something there." And I think so. The spilling of the blood is making these people stronger.
Oh, absolutely. I look at, when they find the artifacts and stuff from Babylonian times, and they show the Babylonian, mystery religions and the cults and things like that. Well, all they've got us doing is practicing their rituals with pornography, with drugs, with child sacrifice, all those things, through abortion and things like that. We're practicing their rituals and strengthening them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean South Africa now is absolutely such a harvest for child abduction. It's unbelievable. The just last week, and this is a small the subdivision where this black wanted to steal this baby out of the woman's hands. He was pulling to take because it's take the baby and they take the white children and they go from 500,000 to 1.5 million rand for one child in this country.
That's because of the muti. They make muti from it.
Sex slaves, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and now we can go back. It's about 20, 25 years ago. We had in Kempton Park, the city where I was raised, six schoolgirls disappeared. And I was involved, not in really the investigation, but involved in supplying the books about ritual murder. The police came to see me to ask me about ritual murder. They wanted to borrow my books, and I said, no, you can sit here and read it. I don't trust you. You're going to steal my book, so you read here while I watch you. So anyway, what was interesting, Patricia, they'll get up to a point where they will have a breakthrough. That team will be taken off, and they'll put a new team on. That happened quite a few times.
Oh, I'm not surprised. That's why all these child sex rings, pedophile rings are going so strong in the UK and all over Europe.
That's
in
correct.
Ireland, the number one place for child abductions is Ireland.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And a friend of mine is now involved, and she's working for the cyber criminal investigation department or whatever. I don't know how far they're going to get. And she said, well, we can only find about 2% of the children and the women disappearing. And of course, then they're so beaten up, they absolutely wrecks.
Yeah,
it is
exactly. There's worse things than dying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Living through the torture that people are living through in South Africa, or being forced to watch their family being tortured and murdered, over days, and then leaving the man of the house alive to live with those. There's worse things than dying. I would rather die.
I agree with you, and you don't die. This is the problem. It's we have this instinct just to keep alive. I can tell you, a cousin of mine in September, they burned her with iron in her face.
Oh,
yes, and I heard that she was burnt the buttocks with the iron, and then the truth came out. You know what they did? They put her on the gas stove to burn her buttocks. Yes.
Did she survive?
She survived. They tried to strangle her, but she's a marathon runner. She's very, very fit, very fit. She said, and I just kept on looking in their eyes, and she said she asked for help. But now we come to the thing that really, really disturbed me so badly, and this is the problem. I said to her, we had a long talk the other day. I said, how are you coping? I mean, the body heals, but what's been done to your soul, how does that heal? It's such a trauma. She said, I'm fine. I'm fine. I know she's not fine.
Well, Monica, it's interesting you mentioned that. I do a healing modality that was developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson called the Emotion Code and the Body Code. And I'd be very happy if you could set us up by Skype to do a session with her. We can do it over Skype. It's not a problem, because those traumas get trapped in our bodies and they throw off the electromagnetic field around us. It's all scientifically proven, but people have remarkable releases and healing with this. And I'd be more than happy to work with her at no charge.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But you know how she's coping, Patricia?
Denial.
Because you know what she said, and it really floored me. She said, I forgave them. I nearly died.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. This type of therapy isn't like you have to go back and relive it. It's very simple. So mention it to her sometime if you will, if she's interested, because I'd be happy to do that. So Monica, usually the organization that we try to support here on Sacred Cow Barbecue is South African Family Relief Project. We think they're doing an excellent job trying to get food and whatnot. and I'm helping them. I'm hoping to help them with some school materials for the camps for the children. I'm having I can write things in English, but then I got to translate it to Afrikaans, so it's kind of interesting. I'm learning. I'm learning how to count in Afrikaans. I'm getting quite good, I think.
Oh, good.
So
I'm not asking you to do it to say that, because how it's going to come out is something else. To write it is easier, isn't it?
that's right. I can write them. I recognize them now, so it's pretty funny. So that's who we try to support here. Is there something we can do to help you?
Well, we have, of course, we started with the Living Waters Foundation, and we're doing the same as you. What I'm not helping the camps. I'm helping one orphanage, only white children in there. There are 36 children in this orphanage house, Ebenezer, and then I'm helping the babies in Rustenburg. Lizelle's got Angels for Babies, and she's taking care of 29 babies with diapers and food from 1 day old up to 2 years, and that's it. And then they
where are their parents? Why are they orphans?
But this is a mining town, and they're closing the one mine after the other. I think you heard about this Marikana shootout that
Yes.
Emma's always talking about. It's there, so they just closed another mine about a month
Yes,
ago.
they've been closing mines left, right, and center.
Exactly. But anyway, yes, this is what we are trying to do. But I would really.
So if people would like to send you a donation, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can go on to the southafricaproject.info, and they can get all the information there to send the money, and then Morris will send me the money, or they can pay over by PayPal, and it's coming here directly. So,
okay, Monica,
yeah.
I know you're trustworthy, and because of who recommended you.
Thank you. Yeah, but it's. I know there are so many people putting also their hand in this little cookie jar, and that really bugs me. I can't do it because I just see those little babies. I went over there, and I took pictures. The most beautiful babies, and they our future, Patricia. It's like the children in the camps. They our future.
Yes,
And
and,
it
and
really
and
was.
they're having, I'm sure, failure to thrive. They're having cognitive development issues and stuff.
Yes.
It's just pitiful to watch. So we're doing what we can. I'm trying to get school materials out to the parents, through South African Family Relief Project and whatnot. And so they want to go to go ahead, give them the website again.
southafricaproject.info.
SouthAfricaProject.info. Very good.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. I hope everyone will reach out. I know over the holidays people tried to be generous, but these folks are struggling all the time, whether it's Christmas or not. So,
I
Frederick,
know.
do you have a parting question for Monica? Something you'd like to say? I've been hogging the conversation, and I haven't been a very good co-host tonight.
Oh no, I have just been enjoyed the conversation and thinking about everything that was being said. I guess the image that comes to mind when the guest was saying about the white problem, I was thinking of the term pathological altruism.
Yes.
We are just so into this pathological altruism to our own detriment, and I think she just kind of summed that up completely. So,
Absolutely. Well, Monica, absolutely. I mean, whites are the only people that vote against their own best interest.
Oh yeah, isn't it the saddest thing? It's terrible, really, that we're sitting in a death cell and we're enjoying it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
A murderer in a death cell will fight to keep alive, and we wish to die. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Wow. Well, yeah.
Someone's accusing me here of cussing on the last hour. I didn't. I said, what the fudge? FUDGE. I didn't say the other word. Except there was enough static on the line. I can stick to that. He's not buying it, though. My goodness. Tough crowd tonight. Tough crowd. Monica, we're at the end of the hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Frederick C. Blackburn, always a pleasure to have you here.